Hello everyone, my name is Pedro Hernandez and I am a research fellow at the Institute of Data Science of Maastricht University in the Netherlands. And today's presentation is about an exploratory analysis on Agritech policies, innovations and funding for climate change mitigation. I hope you enjoy. First of all, climate change mitigation technologies. Okay, we know that these technologies have been developed for the last decade, and it's been trying to mitigate the consequences of global challenges like climate risk or food security. But also we know as context like that main international agreements are the driving framework for developing policies, like the Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement itself. But why is this important? So we know that there's a need to tackle these climate issues, but are we tackling in the right way? So are we doing it evenly? Is there any proportionality problem? So so far we can see that the proportionality of technological innovation, funding, and policy it kind of tends to be into energy intensive sectors like transport industry and energy, as we can see. But sometimes it feels like ignore sectors like agriculture and waste. Moreover, agri-tech innovations are generally driven by farm management practices. So in order to promote efficiency of energy use, but at the end, it has a strong overlap with energy and transport sectors. At the end of the day, we might think are because of these limited resources or vulnerable financial conditions, the factors that would make the agriculture sector less resilient into the climate change mitigation issues. Is this a thing? But then, if we think about it for a second, why then we might think that agriculture is underrepresented regarding all these climate change mitigation technologies? But in order to provide an answer to this bigger issue, let's try to set the table into a more feasible question. What would be, or what is it, the current state or the current landscape of Agritech in the climate change mitigation topics? And this is what the study is about. We ask ourselves, okay, what is the landscape of the innovation in the agricultural sectors, in the agricultural sector, but then turns into the climate change mitigation issues, right? So let's focus and let's split this problem in three dimensions. So if we look at the funding, we can find some whys and hows, but also in the innovation part, and of course the policies part. So with this triangle, we can have some clues, and we can start to ask more questions about what was happening. Therefore, having these three dimensions in mind, we simply looked at public data sources of those. For the funding part, we have looked at the Cordis EU research results, in particular the Horizon 2020 data from the projects that have been granted. So far, there were around 1,700 projects from this framework. Also, we looked at the patents in order to look some innovation in the Agritech sector. The public data set from the European Patent Office contains 7 million patents by December 2019, but also in the policies and legislation side, we have looked at this very nice study. It's a curated data set from the Graham Research Institute of Climate Change and Environment, where that contains almost 400 legal acts and almost 200 judgments related to climate change. So these are very unique sources of information, but it contains everything, right? So you have patents, you have policies and laws, and then you have projects. But then we are focusing into the ones that are related to climate change mitigation, right? So far, the policies ones are just climate change, but we needed to find a way of how to filter the projects and the patents. So we have used an implementation of probabilistic keyword search with Python flash text together with an expert dictionary, so that we will be using probabilistic distance with synonyms of climate change, and same way with agricultural terms, so that we will be looking at the abstract of the funding and patents, and also we will be looking at the description of the policies, the description of the projects, and then we will filter them out. Moreover, once we have this final set, we will do an analysis on a European level so that we know that is more or less comparable. Some of the results that we can see here is that from the 7 million patents, around 8,000 were related to climate change, and only 81, that's roughly 1% of those, were related to agriculture. Most importantly, the number of filing patents is increasing over the years. We have noted that, but the majority of the cases, they were like amendments of existing patents rather than development of new ones. Now, related to the funding part that we found in the Horizon 2020, energy, not surprisingly, was the sector with the most project funded, more than 600, and agriculture, almost 10% of that, 67 projects were funded. Now, speaking about the actual European contribution, only 2.3% of this total funding of Horizon 2020 in 6 years was focused on agricultural technologies and agricultural projects. But in the policy and legal part, we have found that certain countries like Spain, they have had more climate change mitigation laws for some reason, but also competing at the European level. On the other hand, there are some other countries like Belgium, Croatia, Cyprus, and Greece and Romania that have no at all agricultural law related to climate change mitigation. So therefore, we might start to ask: is that the reason of the lack of innovation, or is it because of the lack of innovation there are no regulations or policies? So what we can see here is that certain countries, increasingly the last years, have passed advanced regulations, and this reflect on certain technological innovations. So we can see there a direction. So far, with the 3 dimensions, we can see much correlation in the trends, but it's a very nice exploratory analysis. We have to be careful here, since the tagging methodology the study has an accuracy of 89%. Some remarks and conclusions we might expect, as we have discussed in the beginning, that the agriculture sector is among the critical contributors of greenhouse emissions globally. And also we know that certain regulations are instruments to encourage the development of these climate change mitigation technologies. But also, the majority of these regulations are leading or are focused more into the clean energy technologies, transportation sectors, technology in buildings, carbon capture, these type of technologies, and not so much in the agricultural sector. Moreover, there is certain emphasis on improving existing technologies rather than creating new ones. So far, the EU-funded agriculture projects mostly focus on stakeholder engagements, like creating hubs, creating awareness, rather than actually focus on engineering new things. Finally, I will have to stress that this study and the methodology is openly available on a GitHub repository, and it's a Python-based text mining approach for filtering these climate change mitigation technologies that are related to these data sets. And this approach will not only automate the selection, but also facilitates an objective reproduction of the results. And I think this is all for me. Thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed, and please enjoy the rest of the conference. See you.